Presiding Officer, Carers Week, as we recognise the selfless and necessary role that carers play in society, but more importantly, to show the action that we can take in this Parliament. As the Minister Jean Freeman says, the goal to have a life alongside caring, I think, is where we need to be. I think it is testament to the hard work of the carers groups that carers have a high priority for this Parliament in its agenda. As we know, Carers Week also reminds us that without carers, our society simply could not function, and that any one of us may be called upon to be carers at any point in our lives. But the main purpose of the motion for debate is to ensure dignity and respect in our social security system, which should be the heart of a fairer Scotland. So Adam Tompkins says that no one, no party should have a monopoly to bring that to the table, and I agree. It is the ground on which the new Scottish social security system should be founded, as Ben McPherson and others have said, to take it in a new direction. But there is anger out there and in here about the fact that aspects of our welfare system to date have not given people, and disabled people in particular, a dignified life. In fact, I as a citizen felt that from 2012, on the back of the austerity measures, I've never actually felt so angry as I did watching the reforms and cuts to benefits and the powerless. But it wasn't simply just that it was an attack on the living standards by a reduction in benefits and allowances, but the very system itself, as others have alluded to. The system has left many vulnerable people in despair, and Marie Todd made an excellent speech where she says it gave people no say in determining their own destiny. And in some ways, that is worse than a financial cut. That feeling that you can do nothing. In some other societies around the world, it's these conditions that have led to revolution and the overthrow of governments. But in many ways too, perhaps, we have the opportunity to have our own quiet revolution to change what has been, to some extent, an inhumane system. Christina McKelvey rightly quotes an excellent brief by Inclusion Scotland, where they say that disabled people have been robbed of their dignity. There's many stark figures in there. The 1 in 5 figure that Christina quotes about job seekers allowing sanctions against disabled people is really quite shocking. But there is nothing dignified about some aspects of our current system, as Neil Findlay talks about. Work capability assessments and the so-called appeal system, where has it not occurred to the person who designed that system that if you then have to wait for the very benefit that you've applied for, how are you meant to live in the weeks in between? 60% of employment support allowance sanctions are against claimants with mental and behavioural disorders. I certainly will.
Mr Tompkins.
Does the member recognise that the employment and support allowance was introduced not by the Conservatives but by the last Labour government, and indeed that it was the last Labour government that signed the contract with Atos to undertake the work capability assessments?
Well, the criteria changed, and Mr Tompkins and also Mr Johnson, well, I'll get to the point where you are the people from that side of the chamber who want to come and have some consensus about this debate. I think there is much for you to defend here, because there are huge financial losses, and I did not hear one word from the Tory benches about the thousands of people who will lose out in the transfer to PIP. Inclusion Scotland say that 47% of DLA claimants with awards on the higher rate mobility will lose their entitlement to the enhanced rate when they are reassessed. What do you have to say about the 45% of disabled people with mobility vehicles who are losing their cars? I do think that we need to have a discussion with ministers and the new Social Security Committee about the transitional arrangements because by the time that we have the powers, a lot of these transfers will have taken place. Joanne Lamont, I think, makes a crucial point in this debate, which is perhaps the greater scandal about not enough action for overcoming the barriers to disabled people coming into employment. And the figures that she quotes on modern apprenticeships is a scandal and something this Parliament does need to address. I think that would be real progress if we could make progress here in giving dignity and respect. Achieving your full potential should be a phrase that means something to every single person. Alison Johnson talks about the new powers presiding officer, and I'll wind up. She talks that we get these powers at a crucial time, and we have a chance to design a new system that will put that dignity back. And I do think we can work cross-party to achieve that, and this Parliament will show that it has the powers it can do something with. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms McNeill.